Iran says its forces stand ready, finger on the trigger. Senior commanders repeat that phrase on television and state media. They warn that any US strike will start a broad war. Even so-called limited strikes would be treated as full aggression. This is not the language of careful diplomacy at this time. It is the language of rockets, drones, and ballistic missiles. In Washington, the response has taken a different path. Instead of press conferences alone, the answer is movement. Naval forces are shifting. Missile defenses are moving. Heavy armor and combat aircraft are flowing into the Middle East. At the center of this posture stands a single ship. It is the nuclear-powered aircraft carrier USS Abraham Lincoln. The US Navy pulled this supercarrier from earlier missions. It sent the ship toward the Indian Ocean and the Central Command region. That move places the carrier near any clash involving Iran. US Central Command confirms this deployment publicly. It states that the carrier strike group now operates in the Middle East. Officials describe a careful mission. They say it reassures partners and protects shipping routes. They also say it is intended to deter Iranian aggression. President Donald Trump has gone even further in his language. He speaks of a large armada moving toward Iran. At the same time, he repeats a second point. He prefers a new nuclear agreement with Tehran. However, he refuses to rule out the use of force. He says that remains an option if American interests are attacked. To see why one carrier matters, look at its capabilities. The US ship Abraham Lincoln is a floating airbase at sea. It uses nuclear reactors for power and endurance. That allows very long deployments without refueling. On its flight deck sits Carrier Air Wing 9. Inside its hangars, that same air wing is maintained and armed. This wing is carefully balanced for high-intensity warfare. It includes Boeing FA-18E and FA-18F Super Hornet fighters. These jets perform air-to-air combat and precision strikes in tandem. They can escort, defend, and attack in one mission. The air wing also includes another key aircraft. This is the Boeing EA-18G Growler electronic warfare jet. Its role is different from a classic strike fighter. It jams enemy radars during a mission. It disrupts communications on the ground and in the air. It helps open safe paths through hostile air defenses. Above the carrier group flies a distinct radar plane. This is the Northrop Grumman E-2D Advanced Hawkeye. It serves as an airborne early warning and command center. It tracks aircraft, missiles, and other contacts at long range. It helps manage the entire air picture around the carrier. Helicopters add another layer of protection. Sikorsky MH-60R and MH-60S Seahawk helicopters patrol the surrounding waters. They hunt submarines beneath the waves. They monitor surface traffic and conduct search and rescue missions. They also help move personnel and light cargo. Another aircraft type handles logistics. The Bell Boeing CMV-22B Osprey tilt rotor aircraft supports the carrier. They allowed the ship to remain provisioned without entering a port. Carrier Air Wing 9 now fields the Lockheed Martin F-35C Lightning II. This is the carrier-based variant of the F-35 family. It provides low observable deep strike capability to the group. It is designed to slip through advanced air defenses. It can hit heavily protected targets far inland. All of this makes the carrier extremely flexible. One ship can launch stealth strikes at night. It can conduct electronic attacks on enemy radars. It can maintain air superiority patrols overhead. It can run intelligence and surveillance missions hour after hour. It can sustain logistics flights that keep the task force supplied, and it can do all of this from a mobile sea base. It does not need foreign airfields to project power. For Iran, that mobility changes the military balance. The country relies on fixed missile units, coastal defenses, and air bases. It also depends on command centers inside its territory. Many of those targets are now within reach of sea-based aircraft. Precision-guided weapons from the carrier can hit them. They can strike without warning and without crossing land borders. The US ship Abraham Lincoln can also reposition quickly. It can move closer to Iran's shores in a crisis. It can also stand farther away when needed. Each move changes flight times and strike options. None of those movements requires permission from regional governments. Around the carrier, the rest of the formation sails. The US Navy calls this a carrier strike group. It includes Arleigh Burke-class guided missile destroyers. It also includes Ticonderoga-class guided missile cruisers when assigned. All of these warships carry vertical launch systems. Those launch cells are built into their decks and hulls. From those launch cells, they can fire Tomahawk cruise missiles. The Tomahawk land attack missile flies low and far. It can strike air defense batteries deep inland. It can hit radar sites, command centers, and infrastructure. Many of these targets lie far from any coastline. The same vertical launch systems carry other missiles. These include weapons from the Standard Missile family. Those missiles are designed to intercept aircraft in flight. They can also intercept cruise missiles and some ballistic threats. Together, they create a layered shield around the group. The result is a force that can hit hard and block hard. It can deliver powerful offensive strikes on short notice. It can also defend itself and nearby partners from air and missile attack. On land, another shield is taking shape. The US Department of Defense is reinforcing air defenses. It has started deploying more Patriot missile units. The full name is Patriot Advanced Capability 3 Missile System. The common short form is Patriot PAC-3. New batteries for this system are going to Middle Eastern bases. At the same time, another system is arriving. This is the Terminal High Altitude Area Defense System. The usual short form is THAAD. The Terminal High Altitude Area Defense System is transportable. It is designed to intercept ballistic missiles at high altitude. It targets missiles during the last part of their flight. Each system covers different parts of the threat. The Patriot Advanced Capability 3 system focuses on lower altitude threats. It can engage aircraft, drones, and many cruise missiles. It can also hit some ballistic missiles near the end of flight. The Terminal High Altitude Area Defense System operates at higher altitudes. It intercepts short, medium, and some intermediate range ballistic missiles. It uses hit-to-kill interceptors instead of explosive warheads. That means it destroys incoming missiles by direct impact. Together, these systems build a layered defense. They give commanders several chances to stop an incoming missile. They help defend air bases, ports, and cities across the region. US officials tie these moves to intelligence reports. They say Iran has repositioned parts of its missile force. They also say the overall risk to US troops has grown. You do not shift high-value systems like this lightly. You do not pull them from other theaters for a minor show. You do it when the perceived risk is real and near-term. That is the signal Washington is sending now. For Iran, this message is clear enough. The US is preparing to strike if necessary. It is also preparing to absorb and survive a counterattack. That is why the buildup extends beyond air defenses. Heavy armored units are also entering the picture. Defense reports and regional outlets describe new movements. They say the US Army is flying heavy vehicles into the region. These include M1 Abrams main battle tanks. They also include M2 Bradley infantry fighting vehicles. The transport platform is the Boeing C-17 Globemaster III aircraft. The M1 Abrams is one of the most capable tanks in service. It weighs more than 60 tons in combat configuration. It carries a 120mm smoothbore main gun. It has advanced composite armor and modern fire control. It is designed for intense battles against strong opponents. The M2 Bradley infantry fighting vehicle works beside it. The M2 Bradley carries infantry squads into battle. It offers fire support with a 25mm chain gun. It also carries anti-tank guided missiles on its turret. In a combined arms team, these vehicles complement each other. They provide ground commanders with a robust offensive and defensive tool set. Flying this kind of heavy armor by air is not routine. It is expensive and politically sensitive. It requires access to airfields, planning, and security. You do not do it for symbolic images alone. You do it to create real ground combat options. Those options become vital if a sea or air crisis spreads ashore. The air posture outside the carrier wing is changing too. The US Air Force is moving more jets forward. McDonnell Douglas and Boeing F-15E Strike Eagle fighters have deployed. These aircraft are now at bases in the Middle East. They bring long-range, all-weather strike capability to the theater. They can reach deep into Iranian territory if ordered. They can still defend themselves in air-to-air combat while doing so. The F-15E Strike Eagle can carry a heavy weapons load. It can employ precision-guided bombs against hardened targets. It can attack bunkers, missile launch positions, and command sites. A small number of well-planned sorties can damage key nodes. That gives decision-makers options short of a full war. These fighters require in-flight refueling to reach distant targets. That is where another aircraft comes in. The The Boeing KCC-135 Stratotanker plays that role. Its full name is Boeing KC-135 Stratotanker. The common short form is KC-135. This aircraft refuels fighters, bombers, and surveillance platforms during flight. It extends their range and loiter time by many hours. The Boeing C-17 Globemaster III transport aircraft continues its work as well. They continue to fly troops, ammunition, and supplies into forward hubs. That tempo looks less like a short demonstration and more like a sustained posture. While this American buildup unfolds, Iran keeps talking. Its leaders address domestic and foreign audiences together. The head of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps has spoken clearly. He says his forces have their finger on the trigger. He says they are more ready than ever. He ties that readiness directly to the incoming US fleet. Iranian diplomats repeat a similar line. They warn of immediate and strong responses to any aggression. At the same time, they hint at another path. They say Iran remains open to a fair nuclear agreement. They demand sanctions, relief, and respect for sovereignty. Iranian state media magnify both themes. They highlight the threat of retaliation against US bases. They also highlight the idea of possible negotiations. The message is mixed but carefully shaped. Iran presents itself as pressured yet unbroken. It wants to look strong at home and firm abroad. It wants Washington to hesitate before using force. Step back, and a clear pattern appears. On one side stands Iran, issuing a warning. It states it is ready to fight if attacked. It states that any US strike will trigger a broader conflict. On the other side stands the US with its posture. It has placed a nuclear-powered supercarrier in the region. It has deployed a powerful carrier air wing. It has surrounded the carrier with guided missile destroyers and cruisers. It has added Patriot Advanced Capability 3 missile batteries ashore. It has deployed more terminal high-altitude area defense systems. It has flown in heavy M1 Abrams tanks and M2 Bradley vehicles. It has moved additional F-15E Strike Eagles, Boeing KCE-135 Stratotankers, and Boeing C-17 Globemaster III transports into the theater. This pattern is not the result of a few days of reaction. It reflects weeks of planning and coordination. It required agreements with host governments for access and basing. It required careful redeployment of assets from other regions. It is deliberate, layered preparation. The hard question is what this preparation actually does. Does it lower the chance of war or raise it? Deterrence theory says such a posture should prevent conflict. It should make the cost of any attack obviously unacceptable. The carrier strike group threatens Iran's military infrastructure. The Patriot Advanced Capability 3 system and the Terminal High Altitude Area Defense System help blunt missile salvos. Heavy armored units and strong air power offer credible ground responses. In that view, Iran sees the imbalance and holds back. It chooses pressure, rhetoric, and negotiation instead of open war. History suggests another possibility as well. When forces are deployed on high alert, small signals can be misinterpreted. Political leaders under pressure can overreact easily. A radar track that seems strange can cause panic. A missile test can appear to be a first strike. A clash between patrol boats in a narrow waterway can spiral. With so much firepower packed into a tight region, the room for error shrinks. Miscalculation becomes a real danger, not just a theory. For many Americans between 35 and 50, this moment feels familiar. You have seen large deployments in the Gulf before. You remember the build-up before the Gulf War. You remember the invasion of Iraq and its aftermath. You have seen long campaigns in Afghanistan and elsewhere. You have heard phrases such as limited strikes and red lines many times. What stands out now is the tone from both capitals. Iranian officials say any strike means war. US officials say all options remain on the table. They say the country will protect its forces and partners regardless. Between these positions is a narrow and dangerous space. Today, both sides still insist they do not want a direct war. Iran says it is ready to respond, but open to a fair deal. The US says its forces are deployed to deter attacks. It says they are there to defend shipping lanes and give diplomats time. It says this is not an invasion force waiting for a date. Still, the contrast between words and weapons is stark. On one side, Iranian leaders talk about fingers on triggers. On the other hand, a nuclear-powered carrier sails with a full air wing ready to launch. Guided missile ships patrol nearby waters. Patriot Advanced Capability 3 systems and Terminal High Altitude Area Defense Systems stand alert ashore. Heavy armor is stored in the heat near the forward bases. The hope is simple and serious. This deterrent posture might maintain the status quo. It might make open war too costly for everyone involved. The fear is just as serious. The same build-up could quietly prepare the stage. It could set conditions for one of the most dangerous confrontations the Middle East has seen in many years. That's all for now. Subscribe to get updated insights about this topic.